Welcome in to Red River North, right here on Total Coverage Sports. You got Randy Heitz, you got Dave Myrick, 1077 The Franchise, flagship station of OU Athletics. On that note, we're going to talk a lot about SEC baseball, college baseball in general, Randy. But look, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up. Oklahoma baseball right now, the talk of the weekend after what they did down in Arlington, Texas, sweeping Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, TCU. TCU ranked 10th at the time, and then added on a snoozer yawn fest win against New Mexico State last night. I mean, we talked last week, go 2-1 in Arlington, and that'd be pretty good, really good, actually. They surpassed everything that I was thinking going this weekend. I think nationally what people thought, I mean, the best start anybody could have hoped for.
No doubt about it. I mean, the only team that comes close to them story wise over the weekend is Michigan, who went out to Arizona and beat Oregon State, who's a top 10 team, Arizona, and Stanford. They're the only one that comes close. With what Oklahoma put up, it's very impressive. And I think what you look at with what Oklahoma put up and the fact that it was so impressive, Dave, it wasn't the offense. I mean, it was, but we knew about it. We all thought it was going to be good. It is what they got out of the starting rotation. And it's kind of why I tweeted out on Sunday after they won the championship, like, all right, OU fans, just breathe, basically, because I would have said the same thing after 0-3 if they'd have done that, because it's early in the season. You want to believe that is the long haul for this rotation, but it is only one start. So it's reasons to be encouraged, but also don't start thinking it's all said and done and this team's the greatest in the year. So
Yep.
it's kind of like take it with a grain of salt. If they stumble once, I'd say this: if they stumble once this weekend, it's a head scratching moment. It's Coppin State, right?
Yeah.
But next week, midweek, Arizona State, they have two. If they split that series, it's not a bad thing. But Arizona State's decent. They're not great. That's going to happen. It's baseball.
Yeah, I kind of tweeted out when the new ranking got released. I think I saw OU was 19th. They'd moved up, and a lot of people were flipping out. I said, you know what? For me, yes, very impressive weekend for OU, but to me,
Yeah.
that's okay because in the long haul, they've not really proven anything yet. They beat three good teams, one really good team. But Cam Johnson, what you just talked about, to me is the key to all this. We saw him start off pretty well last year and then reverted back to his LSU form fairly fast, and it kind of got off the rails, never got back on. So, what he did in Arlington is outstanding. That's what you were kind of expecting working with
Hmm.
Skip for the entire offseason. What he did out in the Cape, in the offseason looked really good. He carried that on. Now it's going to be, can he do that on a week by week basis? If he can, this team is special. We knew the offense was there. We knew the defense, especially with Kyle Branch, Jackson Willits up the middle, going to be really good. The outfield, all those guys can go get it, and they can hit the baseball. The pitching was the one thing we didn't know, and to me, that was the most impressive part of last weekend.
No doubt. And what's funny is, and I know you can look at Monday and go, oh God, some of those guys out of the bullpen, they got roughed up. Or not roughed up, didn't look as good. Like, I mean, I look at Jaden Barfield, kind of
Yeah,
surprised me how he pitched on Monday. But with all that said, those guys also weren't in a pivotal situation. That game was a snoozer from the start,
yeah.
from start to vision. That's not an excuse, but it's like we still don't know when you look at this team in the bullpen. We all think those arms are going to be good. Really, other than Friday, there's never been a moment this bullpen's had to be tested yet this year. I mean, Friday there was that little window where LJ's brother Mercurius, he came in and pitched, and yeah, he gave up a run, but he got out of it. That was the closest thing the bullpen had anywhere stress on them. Because after that, OU explodes for 6 runs in the top of the next inning, and ball game over against Texas Tech. So I think that's the one thing with the pitching staff we still have to see, man. It's like who's going to fill some of those vital roles. I mean, I think you and I know, or we feel like Bowden's going to be like that bridge guy, maybe closer. You got a Barfield that I think can be a long guy. Same with Catalano. But we haven't had to see him in the pressure situation yet. We don't know how some of these guys, especially newcomers, are going to fare in those situations.
Briscoe Smith, the
Yeah.
newcomer. Speaking of it, being talked about prominently in the closer role, didn't have a chance to see that. Look, you know this. Anybody watching, it's not always going to be like that. You're not going to be on top 10-1 going the ninth. For one thing, OU is going to face much better pitching down the stretch, and they will have to get into games to where their pitcher has to go toe to
Hmm.
toe with another pitcher from the SEC and put outs up on the scoreboard. That we didn't really get a chance to see in Arlington. It's OU's fault because they were so good offensively, but it also is kind of a hindrance because the things we wanted to see, who's going to fill what role, we didn't get a chance to. And if you're an OU fan, that's really good news because they were that dominant start to finish.
And I'll bring up the Bedlam game. I think that was the one thing that was so impressive. The one thing I thought we knew about going into this series is they were going to face Pesca on Saturday.
Yeah.
And if you remember Pesca from Oklahoma State last year, he was really good. I think he ended with like an ERA just under 3 or just above 3, and he was like 9-2, some crazy stats, He was really good. And part of it was his control, and part of it was just Oklahoma's patience and getting the right pitch. That's where you have to like what this offense did against him. And TCU's got deep pitching, what they did against TCU. Tech, you're right. You look at that. I am not sure what is going on with Tech.
Yeah.
I do have some things we can dive into later when we just kind of talk college baseball in general. But, I mean, Tech last night, I believe they ended up winning. I dozed off before the game was over against UTRGV, who's a very solid mid-major program. But at that point in time in the sixth inning, it was like 18-11. And I'm not exaggerating. I was like, are you kidding me? And they'd given up combined 21 runs through 3 innings. So, I mean, the pitching of Tech or what OU did against them, maybe it should be a little concerning that they didn't jump on them faster,
Yeah.
So, but that was the first game. I'm kind of being a little facetious there, but we don't know what Tech is going to be. So, yeah, I think just waiting to see what this team does. And I'll be honest, I don't think you're going to get a lot of tests this weekend either. Coppin State, how many times do you think a team from Baltimore has been out practicing outside this year?
Yeah.
I mean,
Rough weather. I mean, dude, their first 3 games of the year got postponed due to weather against Lafayette. They come in 0-1, an 11-5 loss to the Mount St. Mary's. So, look, on paper, it is what it is. Oklahoma should dog walk this team all 3 games, really not be competitive. But look, it's a different deal now, right? Oklahoma goes to Arlington to open the season. And a lot of doubts out there. You're ranked 14th in the SEC preseason poll. People are like, yeah, they might be, but they got question marks. They used that. They got pissed off and motivated over that to go down to Arlington and really put a spanking on these 3 teams. Now you're the one being talked about. You're the one nationwide, coast to coast. People raving about OU baseball, all of a sudden being flirted with a top 8 national seed. Branding for the year. Now you have to take the field with those expectations. So it's going to be really interesting to watch this team mature and grow throughout the season. But I mean, after the start that I watched offensively, you and I thought they'd be good 1 through 9. I think everybody that saw that lineup did. We had to see it though, and we said that last week. Well, we damn sure saw it. I mean, that was pretty much everything that you want. The mixture of chaos, swiping bags, playing small ball. And then the power aspect from 2 guys Friday that, of course, we didn't really talk about last week. Trey Gamble and Dayton Taki, the two older vets on the team that came back. They go yard. But then, look, the newcomer, Brendan Brock, puts a cherry on top with a 9th-inning grand slam to pretty much blow that one open. So that, to me, the entire weekend was this offense executing about as high a level as it can.
And I'll say this on the power numbers. I was very impressed with what they did this weekend, the entire weekend, because Ranger Stadium, I think there were 20 home runs hit in that entire series. And, as far as, and that's 9 games over a 3-day window. Pretty decent number. That's a little under 2 a game, or a little over 2 a game. But still, OU had, 6 on the weekend, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
Out of 3 games. That's a 2 home run game in average. And that's kind of where we talked about they just need to increase their power numbers a little. And Dave, to your point, I mean, Dayton Taki, I think, is going to be a power hitter. I don't necessarily look at Gamble being a power hitter. He had 2 of those 6, in a ballpark that is not really giving up a ton of home runs, especially when the college teams play there. So there were balls hit, like, for instance, on Saturday, I feel like Brendan Brock, for example, his triple that he hit or double, was it a triple or a double?
Double.
That's a home run at Kimray. That there's no doubt in my mind with a little natural air and flow, that is a home run in Kimray. And there were a couple more shots where I'm like, those are out. This power is legit on this team. And I don't mean like they're going to be like Tennessee has been in years past where you're going to look up and at the end of the year, they're going to have 140 home runs or anything like that. But this is a team I think that could you could look team total, 80, 90
Yep.
home runs. That's a pretty good jump for this team. And there were guys we didn't get to see really until Monday night. Drew Dickerson, Alec Blair got one pinch hit in one of the games earlier. Started to see some other guys rotate in, and I expect to see a lot of rotation kind of this weekend with Coppin State being the team that they are.
A couple great points there. Number one, Globe Life is very pitcher friendly. I was down in
Hmm.
the press conference, the opening season presser in Norman the year before last, talking to pitchers about pay. They're like, we love it, especially with the outfield we got as fast. Well, the opposing pitchers didn't love it this time. OU with enough power, and you referenced Tennessee. Yeah, it won't be Tennessee numbers, but here's the difference. OU doesn't need that because what they
Right.
do on the bases and the speed they have, that was always kind of that perfect cocktail that we've always talked about them flirting with, to have enough speed where they can do the chaos thing. They can execute small ball, which we're baseball purists. I still think small ball has a place. But in the SEC, you damn sure better have dudes that can bang the ball over the wall. They've got that now, and I'm with you. That Brendan Brock double in Norman is a no doubter. That's over the wall
Hmm.
for a home run. Pretty much 1 through 9. I mean, okay, look. Then you got Kyle Branch, the
Yeah.
nine-hole hitter that struggled all weekend, and he goes yard. I mean, if this 1 through 9 is consistently like we just saw, this is a rattlesnake of a team offensively.
Yeah, no doubt. And think about this. I talked about the guys hitting home run. We didn't even mention Jackson Willits, who had a great weekend.
Yeah, he
He's
did.
had he's had 10 plus home runs each year of his career. He didn't even have one of those six. That's only more power that's going to be added. And you look at Camden Johnson. He had a home run in that series off the pole on, was it Sunday against TCU? I believe he had the
Yep.
the home run. I mean, he's a guy that's power. I mean, we're legitimately talking 1 through 9 that are going to have home runs, that can have home run power. That it's not like if they get one out. I mean, I guess you could say with Branch, even though he hit one in that ballpark, so he may have a little more power than we expect, which would go hand in hand with how his brother grew.
Yeah.
Think
Yeah.
back to his freshman year at Baylor, he had a really good year, but by the time he got to Georgia in his sophomore and junior year, Colby Branch had massive power. And so I'm not going to say Kyle's going to have that, but I won't be shocked if he doesn't develop more power this year. And so that's a 1 through 9 lineup with 3 or 4 guys on the bench that still have power. And Nolan Stevens is another guy that didn't hit a home run. He had like 8 home runs, I think, at Mississippi State. Probably
Yeah, he's
only
got
going to go
power.
up from there.
Yeah.
Power. I mean, that all good signs for the Oklahoma offense.
And right now, I mean, trying to find something to critique or be negative about it's impossible right now. I mean, yeah,
No.
the game last night was a snooze fest, a great camera angle, well done, whoever was doing that. But right now, watching that 1 through 9, we had grand expectations for it. They surpassed it to me, and I'm with you. 1 through 9, it's one thing if the opposing team is like it's a fluke, it's a one-off.
Right.
It's a shot. What I see with this lineup is everybody in it, the opposing team and pitcher, they're going to have to respect, or they can make you pay in a big time way. Jackson Willits, I love that point. Tremendous weekend at the dish. We know he's got home run power. They didn't need that from the.
No.
I think what's their overall best hitter is Jackson Willits. Didn't even go yard, and they still put up double-digit runs in every game against pretty good opposition.
Yeah, and he's another guy I thought had a couple of balls where they were doubles and stuff that I'm not sure if those wouldn't have been out of the park in
I
Norman.
agree.
And
Yep.
Norman's a big ballpark. It's not like we're sitting here acting like OU plays in a Cracker Jack park. They play in a big park. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You look at all these guys, and we can talk about offense, but you're right. It's hard to criticize. I mean, my only criticism, and it's not really a criticism because you're trying to get, your main guys some at bats and everything. You don't expect to be up 10-3, 10-2, and be in a situation where, like, hey, I can get other guys at bats. Yeah, maybe you'd have liked to seen some other guys get some more action earlier on in those games, but you don't want to take those opponents that are good for granted. And so I kind of get where they didn't sub out some guys, but I'm really interested to see Prada get in there. He was a leading JUCO hitter in the country. Get to see some at bats. I want to see some more consistency as far as playing time here and there, at least once a weekend, kind of like what they did this week or midweek for Drew Harrison and for Alec Blair. I mean, those are guys I think that as much as we're sitting here raving on these guys that are in the lineup currently, right? I mean, if Blair lives up to his ability, I could see him maybe supplanting the guy in the starting lineup, Same with Drew Dickerson. That's what's great. I think you're going to have guys pushing each other. Whereas we talked about it last week, Dave, the opposite from this year to last year when there was some talent on the bench. We're not at practice every day, but really from talking to people, I feel like starters are truly being pushed.
Yeah.
Like if somebody goes in a funk, it's not going to be a hard thing to go, all right, you know what? You're having a little rough day. Why don't you legitimately take a day off and get your mind right? And we're going to put so and so in the lineup. They have that kind of depth on the team this year.
And there's no drop off, that's what's different. I mean, typically if somebody needs a day off and you look in the lineup when they flip it out, you're like, oh man, that's going to be a rough day at third or first or wherever. This year, you're almost excited to see it because it's going to be a guy
Mm-hmm.
like Drew Dickerson. It's going to be a guy like Alec Blair, which, yes, his DH appearance, one swing, one RBI, and that was a beautiful left-handed swing. I mean, that Chipper Jones toe tap as he bashed that through the right side. I mean, this kid, we've been told, is the best freshman ever at Oklahoma. This staff has had playing baseball solely now, away from that mess in Porter Moser. I can't wait to see what he does if he gets a crack at this starting lineup. I don't know who you take out though, Ray. After this
That
weekend, watching those, that's the problem.
no, that's the problem. I mean, I'll be honest. You and I were texting back and forth, and it was kind of like Gamble kind of started the first game a little iffy, and then the end of the game, he's like going yard and doing everything. You're like, okay, well, that's not one you look at. Taki, I kind of said he's going to have to get better, and the next thing you know, in the game, boom, bomb. And it's kind of one of those things. Was it? I think I'll be honest. Taki still, I think it looks like trying to get his timing back from being injured last spring, being injured in the fall, and everything. It looks I could see him being one that they kind of start moving in and out a little more until he reaches his point, where he's like, okay, I've got my timing down and everything. And maybe that's where you find some times for guys like Dickerson. And I'll say this, I don't know what you do. They did it last year, and I know they're two of your better hitters. I hate having your two main catchers in the lineup at the same time.
Yeah.
But what do you do though? Look at what LeChance did this week. Look what Brock did. Do you really want to take one of those two bats out of the lineup?
You
I
can't.
don't think so. Yeah.
You can't. I mean, that's the position they're in. I agree it does suck because you're going to have to fill that DH spot with one or the other pretty much every game, and they're going to have to play every game. I mean,
Yeah.
unless you just want to give one a day off. But that might be where we're talking about this depth comes into play and really pays
Mhm.
off because maybe you can give a LeChance a flat day off. But then again, if you're playing a team in the SEC, I don't want that bat sitting on the bench. I don't care what spot he's in the lineup. He's got to be in. Same with Brendan Brock. It's just bad luck for OU. They play the same spot. Nolan Stevens had a good weekend, I
Yep.
thought, but I kind of think he might be a guy that we see in and out a little bit.
I do
And
too.
Alec Blair maybe get some playing time. It's a great problem to have, Randy. I mean, the offense, again, we thought was going to be really good, surpassed my expectations. They scored 32 runs over the weekend, outscored 32-6. But the six part in that component is what's really impressive to
Oh
me.
my goodness.
Cam Johnson, 11 strikeouts. I mean, we both have reservations and kind of curious about what the hell's
Right.
going on with Texas Tech. But they typically have guys that can hit the baseball year in, year out of Lubbock. They can hit. They weren't close to Cam Johnson. And what I love to see last year when he was missing really bad.
Right.
Friday against Tech, his misses were very small. And that was the main difference I saw. Still nibbling at the plate, even out pitches, when he's just trying to get someone to chase. They weren't bad misses, and they still had enough stuff that looks pretty gross. I mean, that to me, all three games combined was the most important factor to come out of it was Cam Johnson's performance.
I think so, and I think number two really, because don't get me wrong when I say this. Cord Rager was a fantastic. I'm still not sure he's their number three guy. I know we've heard that he earned it, and I believe that he earned it. But he is a freshman, so I'm sure there's other guys going to be pressing him. Like Drew Rarick. I know he didn't have a great start. I kind of wonder if he's a guy that they're still looking at for number three in the long haul. But I think number two, right behind Cam, was LJ Mercurius.
Yep.
And the simple fact he did really well at UNLV, pitched at Team USA, over the summer, but you still wondered, can he adjust? And granted, we're not in FCC play, but is he ready for P4 level, of college baseball? And as great as Cam Johnson was, which I thought he was going to win SEC Pitcher of the Week, oh, checkmate. LJ shows up and goes, I think I want that award. And that was very impressive what he did to a lineup. I mean, say what you want about whether we know if Oklahoma State's going to be great or not. I think the one thing we know about Oklahoma State, they're usually a pretty good offense.
Agreed.
And he shut the door on them. So, I mean, I think those two things alone, I'll be honest, I feel safe in saying I feel like Oklahoma's 100% got a 1 and 2. And I think they
Yeah.
got a 3 from what we saw at a Rager. But again, that's a freshman. I want to see it in the long haul.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I don't know. Look, everybody right now I know on planet Earth is sick. Sickness has been going around dugouts. I mean, I think OU's been going through that. No idea if that's what happened. Or look, Cord Rager looked like a dude that you'd go up to and say, okay, you're our Sunday guy. He had that kind of a stuff. But don't know if any of that played into it, if they had somebody else in mind, and we're going to see somebody else down the road. But boy, oh boy, did he live up to expectations. LJ Mercurius, to me, after Cam Johnson, I think Mercurius, to me, has more intrigue because he's proven it longer on the big stage. He's a little bit more mature and further along in his development. So I think you can feel really good if you're an OU fan. You've got your Saturday guy. You've got your number 2. Cam, to me, is what it all comes down to in the end. Can he sustain that week in, week out? But to your point about Mercurius, 5 1/3, right? Only 5 1/3. Struck out 12 Cowboys, only walked 2. And I agree, that Cowboy lineup, if they do one thing well only, it's hit the baseball and usually pretty far. They weren't close to him. So their Saturday guy sealed. Sunday, we'll see. And Friday was outstanding, but just have to see it week to week.
And I'll say this, I still go back and forth on saying the Saturday guy still. It wouldn't shock me at some point in time because the one thing I like, again, I love what Cam Johnson's done, and I'm keeping him in the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
But mentally, we've seen him have lapses, right? And so we don't know if he's over that. The one thing I did like, if you had to throw LJ out there on Friday night, his bulldog mentality, he almost looks like, I mean, like you saw the quote when he said, they told me 2 things when I got on campus. We hate Oklahoma State and we hate Texas, and we're going to show them why. And it's kind of like that bravado that you need on Friday night going into these big SEC matchups. And that's not taking anything away from Cam. I think right now he's your one guy, because of talent level. But if at a certain point you go, you know what, let's make it a little easier on Cam. He's still uber talented. Let's throw him out on Saturday. We're going to put the Bulldog in on Friday night. I mean, that's why I say I think he got 1 and 2. Just wherever they end up falling once conference season gets here, I don't know. If Cam continues to pitch the way he did last Friday, 100% he stays on Friday. But if he has little moments still mentally, I could see him going, you know what, let's make it a little easier for Cam. Let's put him against the number 2 for someone else.
I thought you might be going there because, look, I mean, just to call it like it is, LJ looked like a Friday night guy. That's what he looked like on the mound throwing the baseball, and you're right. His bravado on the mound, his entire makeup, his persona looked like a Friday night SEC pitcher. That being said, so did Cam Johnson. So that's a good problem to have yet again. But I'm with you. I mean, look, down the road, and they get to see these guys day in, day out, bullpen sessions, whatever, practice, inter-squad scrimmages. If they start to notice something, maybe they say, you know what, we are going to move you to day 2 of the rotation, take a little pressure off. LJ is prepared to slide in there. I'm not saying that's going to happen, neither are you, but if they have to do it, they've got to do it with.
Yeah, and regardless, I think it's a really good – it's a good problem to have that they haven't had in previous years sometimes where you're like, oh, the Friday night guy's not going to work out. Really don't think you can bump the Saturday guy up because he is a number 2. I think potentially they have potentially 2 number 1s. That's a very good problem to have for Oklahoma. And again, it's funny, we aren't talking about Cord, but I think it's just the fact of freshman. I need to see it more than 1 game. And I think he's good. And I think he's going to be, whether he ends up staying as a Sunday starter or your midweek starter, he's going to be a vital piece of this team. So when I'm not bringing him up as much as the other 2, it's because I'm like, you know what? He's young. Let's see. They may have other guys. I mean, we saw Bixby pitch in relief. We saw Rarick pitch the other night. There are other arms that may have higher level of talent, at least right now in their career, than what Rager does, but let's see, it's a good problem to have for Oklahoma. I'm just actually, which I don't think we'll get to see it, I'm ready to see, I think we'll see him throw this weekend, but not in a closer role. I'm ready to see Briscoe Smith. I was so disappointed we didn't see him one time this weekend.
You might have to wait another week if you want to see
I think he
Briscoe.
throws, don't you think?
So, just to get him
Don't
out
you
there,
think?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just to get. I think a lot of guys we didn't see this past week may throw this weekend. Heck, I was starting to wonder about Bowden. I'm like, is he dead? You know,
Is he on the roster?
because all of a sudden he hadn't pitched the first 3 days. And if you remember last year, if you follow this team at all, for God's sake, if there was one thing, it was everyday Bowden. I mean, he was out there. He could have thrown 90 pitches the day before, and I felt like he was back out there the next day. You know, we didn't see him to Monday.
For better or worse, Bowden was going to play last year ahead of Mr. Crooks. That's one of the best, the best closer in college baseball last year. The guy that you brought up as well, Michael Catalano, 2 2/3, allowed 1 hit, struck out 4 and walked 1. That's another quality arm. I am going to talk about Cord Rager being the Sunday guy.
Yeah.
In my opinion, TCU by the metric was the best team OU played, the best team they beat, and that was a dominant performance. So until someone actually supplants him
Agreed.
on the playing field, I think he's got to be your Sunday guy.
No, I fully agree. When I say I don't know if he's going to be, let's see how he does 2 or 3 more start. Kind of like, I mean, you talked about Cam Johnson last year. He started out really good, you know?
Sure.
And I don't mean Cord's going to go down that avenue and not be able to find the strike zone, but who knows, 3, 4 games down the road, maybe he's just an okay pitcher at that point in time. And they go, you know what? Let's try this guy out. Let's try that guy out at the number 3 spot. Because trust me, I am a fan. If I can have a 6'6", 240-pound lefty closing my Sunday out, I feel really good about my position because there aren't going to be a lot of teams that have something like that. Other than, how about Mississippi State? Did you see their guy, which I remember he was a top-rated recruit, Jack Bauer?
Yeah.
Throwing 100 yesterday at lefty. I mean,
he came high and tight on one dude. I felt bad for him, woke him up off the play. But, yeah, he's got disgusting stuff. Another freshman out at Tennessee, I think, hit 3 home runs in the same game, then took the mound and pitched. This conference, you can say what you want about football. Maybe the Big Ten has supplanted the SEC in football. That ain't the case in college baseball. The best talent in the entire country is in one location. That's the SEC. That's why if you're an OU fan, are you stoked? Yes. Do you have to temper expectations just a touch? Well, to hell with it. I say no, but I'll say this to that. Each week you play in this league is like a regional atmosphere. And the reason for that, the team you're playing is one as good as you'd be playing in a regional, and the crowds are usually better. So it's going to be a tough road to hoe. But to your point about Rager on Sunday, that would keep the left-right-left matchup intact that Oklahoma likes to use. 2 6'6", 250-pound lefties, one on Friday, one on Sunday. Just an embarrassment of riches. To think about this as a team that NIL-wise, their budget's not as good as like LSU, not as good as a lot of teams, Texas, A&M. To see this roster they put together and the pitchers they have, pretty unbelievable, man.
No doubt. But I think this, and it's kind of funny, I had this discussion with, was it Tyler Neal today talking about basketball? I think as a media group, as a fan base, and I don't mean Oklahoma, I think in general, we all focus too much like thinking NIL is the end-all be-all. And I think Oklahoma baseball for sure has proven it's important. Yeah, if they missed on a guy here and there that they wanted maybe because of NIL. But I think when you look at the talent level they get, they're still giving out NIL money now. And, and it's not all bad. I think that proves that, hey, if you're at the right spot, coaching can overcome some of the NIL shortness. Like, hey, if I go here, I know I'm going to win. I know I'm going to be in regionals, and we're going to be competing to potentially go to super regionals in Omaha. I'll take a little less money because I have an opportunity now. So I think it's easy to look at and go, hey, it's all money. I don't think it's all money for all the kids anymore. Because also there's enough kids that get in the portal every year. I mean, how about this? I'll use a basketball reference. We were just talking about like OU's NIL and basketball and everything. Look at Kentucky. Their NIL budget's $20 million. They're not all that great this year. It's not all about money. You got to find the right kids, and that's where I give it up to this staff. They've gone out and find not just kids like you can say that like, oh, they're a gamer, meaning they're maybe not that talented and they just play hard. No, they go find talent and guys that'll be willing to play for the NIL. So, I mean, that's the thing. Oklahoma can do that. You just hope after some more success, their NIL budget goes up and it's not it doesn't have to be that every year where you're having to find all the guys that are willing to come for a little less.
Find the diamonds in the rough,
Yeah.
right? And I think the last couple of years it has grown a little bit year by year
Yeah.
and helped them out of where they need to be to compete for a legit national title against teams like LSU, Tennessee. I don't know. I think this team, it's way too early to talk about any of that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
after what I just saw, I think they've got the components. If they don't let things go to their head, if they get good crowd support and play consistently good baseball, I think they can make a lot of noise this year. But that speaks to your point. They go out and find guys that buy into their culture. And you hear Skip talking pressers, you're around the team at all. That is always what stands out, the culture and the buy-in. You have to be a certain type of dude to fit onto a certain type of team and buy into the belief factor. They do it a certain way. I mean, not every slugger is going to want to go to a team that's going to bunt their 4-hole hitter.
Mm-hmm.
When you got a runner on and one out and you look down, you see that bunt signal. A lot of guys don't like doing that. They went out and found guys that are okay with that, yet they're giving the swing away the next at bat and they can go yard. I mean, and that's a tough thing to do, Randy. It's a mixture of a bunch of personalities in one clubhouse that have to come together. You and I remember 1994, OU's last national title. Was that the most talented team in college baseball? Absolutely
No,
not.
the team they beat.
Georgia Tech, Nomar Garciaparra, Jason Varitek. I mean, that was the most talented team.
Jay
But
Payton.
Jay
3
Payton,
major leaguers. Yeah.
fielder. I mean, but OU, to the point, were just a bunch of dudes who bought in at the right time under Coach Larry Koshel, and that is what makes a national championship. And that is to the point. It's always not about money.
Well, and if you want to go one step further and know this team's not all about money, I know he's probably getting compensated. I know that there are, but there are some guys on this team I'm sure got some offers, maybe not the legal way. I mean, Jason Walk is a guy I feel like could play
Agreed.
on a lot of rosters in the SEC. He's from Georgia. The way Georgia was in the portal, you don't think they probably picked up the phone call, hey, you want to come home? Kyle Branch is a really good sophomore, was a really good freshman. Back to Georgia. I bet you they had some calls, or some of the Big 12 schools, probably sniffed around. And these are guys that decided to stay and stick it around Oklahoma. That's to the culture because they know what this staff's about. Because also, I think coaching, and here's the thing, and this is where I go with Oklahoma basketball, who's right now trailing 68-60 with 6:30 to go in the game. You know,
Over.
yeah, exactly. Even though I'll say that they were down 14 a little while ago, so who knows? But what I was trying to say is Porter, I think, is a really good coach. But in this day and age of the portal and the NIL era, that hard nosed, tough, screaming, in your face coach doesn't work. They want the kids, yeah, they want to be coached up, but I think they want to be coached up the right way. And I think this coaching staff at OU is really good about having the firm hand, but doing it in the right way where kids respect it. And that's where you stick around and you see kids going, hey, I'm going to stay at Oklahoma for my 3 years till I get drafted, my 4 years, because maybe I'm not going to get drafted, but I'm a really good college baseball player. You see guys do that. And I think that message gets out. And that's why you're seeing some of the other kids transfer in here, from other schools. Nolan Stevens, trust me, he had no one better to ask than his brother about this coaching staff. I'm sure he had opportunities to go to other schools, and he chose Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, a name I think that doesn't get brought up enough that should is Todd Butler and what he does recruiting for Oklahoma,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the SEC. He has gone out again. I said this after the opening season press conference. What impressed me, Oklahoma recognized they had a deficiency hitting for power.
Yeah.
Okay, it's one thing to address it, right? Great. We brought it up. Now what? They went out and got guys to fix it. And we all thought they did. And this weekend, it showed at least through 4 games, that they have fixed it. And Todd Butler, to me, is a huge catalyst to that, does not get enough credit. But to your point, I mean, guys like Jackson Willits, that was easy. His dad's assistant head coach,
Right.
he was going to stay. But Jason Walk, Kyle Branch, whose brother was at Georgia, some phone calls and texts and things like that were made. Yet these guys believed enough in what they've got going on, and Skip Johnson and the staff to come back to Oklahoma. And that might be for a smaller dollar amount. I have no idea.
Right.
You have to think other teams probably offered more considering what OU doesn't have to work with. And that speaks to the buy-in level and the staff, the job this staff does, Todd Butler in particular.
Well, exactly. He's done a fabulous job, and Trey Gamble's another one. I mean, I'm not meaning this as a hater. Alabama took Sam Christensen, who I thought
Yeah.
was an okay player, but he got offers. So Trey Gamble, I thought, was better than Sam last year. You're telling me he didn't get chances, and we haven't even talked about the pitching staffs and the arm. There were a lot of guys. I'm guaranteeing you, they got chances to go somewhere else. Teams were picking up the phone, calling, and they stayed. It's the buy-in. And to your point about Todd Butler, what I really like what he did, because you and I talked about them needing more power, but we like the chaos offense, right? I like the way they went and got power guys that can do both. Back to
Yeah,
Brendan Brock, very good athlete, speed. I think he had 3 stolen bases this weekend.
he can fly.
Camden, yeah, Camden Johnson, another guy that's got some good power, but he can fly. It's like he didn't just go out and go. They didn't scout and go, we need to get power in this lineup and go sign 4 or 5 heavy set guys or weren't real fast that would bog down the bases. They went and found the guys that would offer more power, but also, keep their offensive identity intact. And that's what I really like. I mean, LaChance is probably, in my opinion, from what I saw this weekend, the slowest guy, but he's still not a turtle.
No, he's a good athlete, man.
Yeah.
It's 6'5" to play catcher. You got to be, but I agree. He's probably the slowest one on the base pass, and that's not a knock. That's just saying this team has a buttload of speed.
He's got catcher speed.
He's got catcher speed. You don't see him steal unless you're Brendan Brock,
Yeah.
but he can fly. But that's a really good point about finding guys that fit your system, not just in the clubhouse, but on the field. Because, you can't go out and get a bunch of John Crooks that just want to stand up there and swing for the fences. You got to be able to run in this offense. And look, these guys don't grow on trees. Guys that can run, a 4.5 40 and also pop 20 home runs. That's why they're spread out sporadically around the SEC, and the really good teams have them, and the teams not so good don't. Oklahoma, a fantastic job of getting what they needed. Again, we think all we can go on is what we saw this weekend, and there's nothing really negative to say about this 1 through 9.
No. And again, let's talk about scouting and what they've done. I think you have to appreciate, and this was a little before Todd got there, but keeping the relationship up. Josiah Kemp, who's now at Choctaw, was at Westmore. They went and found him 3 years ago, and he's a kid that's got a lot of speed. He's got pop. Here's the good news. If I'm an Oklahoma fan, fingers crossed for you. He ends up on campus next year because of what's going to go on in the major league, whether there's going to be a season or not the next year. So I mean, that's the thing. They've done a good job of earmarking guys early and showing loyalty, and then those guys show loyalty back. So that's another good thing the staff has done, realizing they're not playing with the NIL budget of other schools. Let's get on guys early. Let's find the ones we like. And so that's what I'm intrigued to see, even what Todd, now that he's involved, over the next few classes, what are some of those high school kids that they do that with?
Yeah, I agree with that. And look, here's the kind of light at the end of the tunnel. If you're an OU baseball fan, they're doing this up against other teams that have higher budgets. If that ever gets, I'm not going to say it'll ever touch A&M or Texas or LSU or Tennessee, but if they get closer to an Arkansas, what this staff would be able to bring in and do, that would be very, very exciting to see. Now, this year might be more exciting. I mean, I was tempered. The first poll came out. I'm the one that said that's about right. They haven't proven, jack yet. But again, a 4-game sample size, what you look at, the only question mark we thought on this team, well, I guess there were 2. Can the 1 through 9 be as good as we think? Well, they answered that, at least through 4 games. And can this pitching staff that lost their Friday night guy, their Saturday night guy, their Sunday guy, their closer, their mid-reliever, can they piece it together? Well, it looks like they got a 1 and 2. And Cord Rager looks damn good as the 3rd, and there's more arms behind him. So this year is setting up to be something very special, Randy. What I tweeted out when they brought up, answer the call for the home crowd this weekend. OU fans were good last year. I remember the LSU series in Norman. It was disgusting weather, 40 degrees, rainy. They were okay. They were good. A lot of butts in the stands. Be better this year. This team has a chance to be special. Get out, get rowdy, and get behind them, man. I mean, basketball has been a nightmare. Go let out your emotions watching what we think is going to be one of the best teams in college baseball this year.
No doubt about it. And you know what sucks? Look at the weather we had today, yesterday, Monday. Tomorrow even supposed to be really nice. And it's not going to be bad Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but we're talking 70s, right? Near 80 all week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here comes the weekend, 52, 53. It's like, what the? Come
That's
on,
your kind of
man.
weather, bro.
No, I mean it's not that it's bad, but and to be honest, that's better opening day weekend than they have a lot of years. But
Yeah.
it's just like, how do you go Monday through Thursday? Because I guarantee you, if we had this weather that we've had these 4 days, maybe Friday because it's a 4 o'clock start, people may not get there in time. As far as so may not be as good on Friday. But if we had 70s on Saturday, Sunday,
Yeah.
that place would be buzzing. And it's still, I think, we'll have really good crowds this weekend. But I just kind of scratch my head going, this team has no luck when it comes to weather and games coming to town, man. It's like you have beautiful weather right before, and then it kind of goes to eh.
Yeah, maybe this team's good enough to make up for it. If they're fun enough and they
Hopefully.
put up 10, 12 runs a game, popping home runs. Hey, again, we're baseball purists. I still like small ball and bunting and all that crap. But nowadays, home runs put asses in the seats. And we think this
Yep.
team's going to hit a buttload of them and be really fun to watch. So maybe that'll do it alone. And by the way, you got two major league pitchers Friday with Cam Johnson, Saturday,
Yep.
LJ Furious going back to back. So that's
Hey,
another really good reason to go out and watch.
I'll be honest, and it's one start, but to be honest with you, through one start of last year, the Friday Saturday guy, and this is coming from a rotation that ended up having a first and a second rounder,
Mm-hmm.
looked better than last year's first two starts.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because you still, I mean, as great as Malachi was, he didn't become Malachi until late in the year.
Right.
As far as really finding that groove. And you found that groove in week one. Now you just hope they can lock in and stay there, both those guys. And if they do that, sky is the limit for where this team could go.
Very exciting stuff, Randy. Again, we had no idea. We thought they'd be
Hey,
good.
you want an update real fast?
Yeah.
Did it Porter Mosier back at coaching because they're down 17 now, Oklahoma is, and they
Goodbye.
haven't scored for the last 3 minutes. Yeah,
Goodbye.
exactly. Jeez Louise.
Doing a broadcast last night, Reeves said something about Joe Lenardi having the OU. I'm like, don't even say it. I don't want to think
It's
about
stupid.
it. That they sneak in the tourney and he stays. I don't think it would happen anyway, but now it's officially dead.
Well, they had to win like almost every game. This is the only loss they're allowed. They cannot lose another one the rest of the way out to even be thought about. How about that? And they still
Good
will
luck.
sneak in. Yeah.
Good luck.
Exactly.
I think they allowed
Anyway.
45 half points in the first half tonight. 45 points for a coach that prides himself on defense. Enough OU basketball. One last thing I wanted to touch on, though. Oklahoma does fill the void left by DeMarco Murray, getting the guy in. I looked up his resume. You hear the name McCullough. He's worked with some pretty good backs. Jeremiah Love at Notre Dame. He was the 2020 running backs coach of the year. He won some award for that. I forget who, but the guy can coach. He coached Clyde Edwards-Helaire up at Kansas City. A few more. Damian Williams, former OU running back, coached him. So, look, I was to the point a wet paper sack was going to be better than DeMarco Murray. So they hired a guy with a great track record. I think if you're an OU fan, you have to like it.
Well, and I think the other thing you have to realize, they took this guy off an NFL roster.
Yep.
I mean, and what I mean by that, who's the Raiders running backs coach last year. They have a new head coach, and we work with a huge Raider fan, Ryan Chapman, And from everything he could gather, they wanted to keep him around. And I think it says twofold. That's pretty impressive. Oklahoma went and got a guy to go, hey, do you want to come back and coach with the NIL and with all this other crap with the way college is? They got him to leave the NFL to come back to college. Two, everyone wondered how was the Deshaun McCullough and the two McCullough kids, how was that handled? Was the family upset or anything like that? Well, I think it proves to you they appreciated whatever happened at Oklahoma because guess what? That's their dad that's the new running backs coach at Oklahoma. So it kind of shows that every time you want to hear something maybe negative about how staff handled this or that, at least the McCullough situation, it doesn't sound like they handled that wrong or where the family was upset because I'm pretty sure if I was upset, I would have stayed in the NFL.
I damn sure wouldn't have jumped to the team I was pissed off at, talking Oklahoma. But I like the point about the NIL and recruit. It's tougher than it's ever been to be a coach in college. And he left the NFL to come to that. I think we talked about this as media and people that talk about cover teams. We get really hyper focused on the negative, right? With OU,
Right.
because that's what we're centric with. But as soon as he made the jump, I get on social media and Notre Dame fans are talking about it. And they're like, well, Yeah, he left the NFL, but he went to a blue blood. I mean, OU's a legit top 5 program all time. I think we lose sight of that,
Yeah.
covering losses here every year that we do, and that's all we talk about. But OU still sells itself, even in this day and age of it being really tough to be a coach in college. You got an NFL job. Yes, it's with the Raiders, and they're a disaster. But you do have Ashton Janty back next year. Who knows what happens there? But he decided to go to Oklahoma anyway, and come into a situation with DeMarco Murray leaving that is kind of up in the air. The running back room has not been that good for almost a half decade. He said, you know what? I'll take on the challenge. I like that.
Well, and how about this fact as far as coaching ability? You talk about Genty. He ended up with 975 yards as a rookie in the NFL
Yeah.
with a porous, and I mean very porous, offensive line. I mean, so that's coaching him up. That's a credit. Those are the little things you look at. And again, I'm not making him out to be a world beater. I don't want anyone to think I'm going, oh, this is the running back god of coaches. No, but I think it's a reason Oklahoma fans can go, hey, the 2 coaching hires they made this offseason, you have to feel pretty good about it. Actually the 3. Heck, I forgot the one on the defensive side, but the 2 on the offensive side, the kid, I can't even think of his name, the secondary coach, pretty good hire, pretty good track record. You got him from Michigan. You bring in a coach from the NFL, and then you can say you took a flyer, but I will take a flyer on a guy like Jason Witten.
Yep.
Any day as a coach if he's wanting to get into it, especially even if he hasn't coached that position in college, but he's at least coached in high school. I'll take my chances.
Malone is the secondary coach.
It. Yeah.
He wears a bow tie, which he's good with me. Anybody that does that. Jason Witten to me is cool until proven otherwise. And he's going to be an NFL Hall of Famer. I mean, kids want to take selfies with the guy. And again, same with DeMarco Murray. A wet paper bag is better than Joe John Finley. I think that was proven immediately when they immediately upgraded their tight end room after hiring Witten. Well, this ladybug just walked on my computer as we were talking about the coach, and that should be good luck. So if you're not
exactly,
OU fan,
and say ladybugs are good luck. There we go. Maybe just in general, we're talking about OU everything, so it's good luck, right?
Even basketball after this coach is gone.
Oh wow, Kai Rogers is playing. He hasn't played since what, December? No, I'm just kidding. But sorry, just
OU basketball. Lord have mercy.
Stupid. Thank God the misery's over.
Thank God baseball season is here.
Yes.
Save us all, Skip Johnson. All right, Randy, you want to close up shop with anything?
Just thinking this a little bit. I mean, we're talking basketball. Jenny Bronchek, I think you can look and go, hey, some things haven't gone totally their way, but playing pretty well. Got a big win at Alabama. They got a game tomorrow at Georgia. This team is going to be a factor, I think, when March comes rolling around. And I don't mean like to win the national title. They know they still need some things and they need to get older with some experience. But they're going to be a team, I think, that's going to host a regional. They're going to push into the Sweet 16 with a shot at that Elite 8. And you know what's funny is if they do that after all the griping and complaining, if they somehow make the Elite 8, give it up to Elias Chavez. That's what they said they were going to do this year. So let's wait and see what happens here in a few weeks.
Yeah, and you go get a player like Chavez to do just that. I mean, look, the SEC is a grind in any sport. Mm-hmm. Football's getting a little easier, but basketball, both sides, very tough. And I'm with you. I don't really care about the regular season. Just make the tournament, and I think they're a dangerous team. Nobody will want to play come March. So, yeah, Jenny's got it going on. Add a few more pieces, and I think they're going to be a very dangerous team out of Norman, Oklahoma. Well, Randy, enjoyed it. We got 3 games against Coppin State. We'll come back to recap next week. And that's
we'll be 2 games into Arizona State as well when we get back next Wednesday.
The Sun Devils come rolling
because they played Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah.
Hopefully it stays like 50 degrees in Norman for the Sun Devils. They will not be used to that.
Yeah, I could live with the 70s though for the crowd. I think if you want the crowd, well, I'm just saying if you want the crowd to come out after work, give them a reason. Nice warm weather, have some beverages. I don't know if you saw the video Eddie Radosevich put up of the new outfield. Dave, whenever they get the other chain link from the construction down, that's going to be really cool that fans are going to be able to get up close to the outfield fence and watch the game. That's going to even be, I think, a better environment for the outfield than the Burns were in the past.
So it's going to be a chain link fence all the way around, right? People can see.
Yeah, kind of like what Texas has for those. You've seen Texas's area where their bullpens used to be and everything, where it's kind of that chain link. It's going to be that way all the way around. So I guess fans are going to be able to set all the way around and kind of get up close to the fence and everything like that. But they have but right now in that video Eddie had up yesterday because construction was still going on, They have your normal backyard chain link fence up, keeping people away from the outfield fence. So I don't know if it'll be open like that yet this weekend or even at all this year until all the construction's done. But whenever it's done, I think that's going to be a nice, cool feature. And then for Oklahoma fans going out to the games this weekend, OU, of course, is still in the third base dugout. You're used to seeing OU's bullpen down in the left field corner. OU's bullpen is in right field. Visiting bullpen is in left field. That way the dugouts can see right into their bullpen. So don't be looking in the, if things start going a little hairy or something and you start looking down to the left field bullpen and go,
To the
why is
right.
no one up warming up? Well, it's because you're looking in the wrong one. They'll be in the right field bullpen. So I think those are going to be some pretty cool changes here just for a little bit of the phase that they're doing right now.
And if you want to go talk trash on the opposing team's bullpen, look, go to the left and make it hard on those guys. Is the thing out in right field still there, that kind of covered awning and bleachers and all that?
Oh, like whatever
That's gone?
seating section. At least I didn't see in the video. I think they are doing away with that, which I think is smart. I mean, it was okay, but this will be my criticism for OU. They did that, which I thought was kind of a cool concept, but don't charge more for those tickets than what you do box seats.
Yeah.
They're outfield.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It made no sense at all. I thought it was a cool concept and could have taken off, but charge a cheap price. They're outfield seats.
Yeah,
Other
it's like
than
sitting
having
in the
beer,
nosebleeds at football.
yeah, other than having beer service out there, there was nothing that would make me want to go, hey, I'm going to pay $20 a ticket to sit in the outfield when I could pay $8 and sit in the general admission upper deck in the infield. I mean,
And a chair back, by the way.
yeah, just made no sense. So, yeah, that's gone, it looks like. But hopefully, I would like to see some form or something come back when they finish the whole
Agreed.
construction in the outfield.
Yeah.
It's not that I want to lock fans. I don't mind the free seating or letting them come in. I would actually like to fence off those burns and go, it's $2 tickets to get in. Bring your ice chest, bring whatever you want, and make it a controlled area where they can still have concession sales out there. People didn't want to bring their own stuff, It's out there, whatever they want to do. I think that could be a fun, kind of like what Mississippi State does, but not as fancy as area. I think it'd be a really cool area to have.
No, I've always wanted bleachers out there in the berms, man.
Yeah.
I don't charge $1 or $2 and people bring their own stuff. It's a big party out in the outfield. Yeah, you can even throw beers up in the air like this. I don't care. Just get out, watch the team, be loud because they're damn good this year.
Yeah.
Well, Randy, that's going to do it, buddy. We'll catch up. I'm sure I'll talk to you tomorrow about something.
All right. Talk to you later, bud.
All right, Randy Heitz.